Good morning. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 9:04. And if everyone in the chambers will stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So have we accomplished verification of legal notice? That was taken care of? Thank you. And on the consent agenda, we don't have a consent agenda. We have a public input, and public input is for folks in the public who'd like to come up and speak to an issue that is not already noted on the agenda. Each person has 3 minutes, and when you step to the microphone, if you'll introduce yourself with your name, please. Is there anyone in the Zoom room? All right, thank you. We'll close public input. We have timed items. We have 6A, consideration of proposed major use permit PL 2560 UP 24-03 and mitigative negative declaration IS 2403 for a 150-foot tall lattice wireless communication tower within a 30 by 30 leased area. The location is 16200 East Highway 29, Clear Lake Oaks, APN 010-020-29. Applicant is Sequoia on behalf of Verizon Wireless.
I don't see a time on our agenda for either of these items.
It says timed items, but you're right, I don't see it.
In the upper right corner of the staff report, it says 9:05 a.m. for this item.
Oh, you are correct. I didn't see it on the agenda. Okay. We're 9:06, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you guys today? My name is Trish Turner. I'm an Associate Planner with the Community Development Department of Lake County, and I will be presenting this project to you today. The project representative is available via Zoom. The project proposes a 150-foot tall lattice wireless communication facility that consists of 9 antennas, 3 microwave antennas, 9 remote radio units, 2 surge suppressors, 1 GPS antenna, 3 equipment cabinets, a 30 kilowatt diesel generator, a 147-gallon diesel fuel storage tank, a 400 amp meter bank with 200 amps reserved for Verizon Wireless. The project is located approximately 1.91 miles east of the community growth boundary of Clear Lake Oaks. The tower is situated on the hilltop of a parcel that is developed with an existing wireless communication facility and existing PG&E electrical transmission tower. On the neighboring parcels, there are several PG&E electrical transmission towers and poles. The nearest off-site residence is located approximately 1,900 feet to the west of the tower, and the Moose Lodge is located approximately 2,250 feet to the west of the tower. The base zoning is rural lands and scenic combining district. The general plan is rural lands. It is in the Shorelines Communities Area Plan and in the Supervisor District 3. The wireless communication facility will be located on a flat area of the hilltop. Site is already industrialized with an existing lattice wireless communication tower and PG&E electrical power transmission towers. The primary parcel is already developed with, as previously stated within existing wireless communication facility and PG&E infrastructure. Staff conducted a site visit on November 13th. The photos displayed on the screen are from that visit. As you can see, there are existing towers consistent with the proposal. The tower simulations, these are the photos for how the proposed wireless communication facility will appear. The project was analyzed with regulations reviewed for compliance with the Lake County General Plan, the Shoreline Communities Area Plan, and the Lake County Zoning Ordinance. The Lake County General Plan, Chapter 3 for land use, Chapter 5 public facilities and services. The proposed wireless communication facility is consistent with rural land zoning district regulations, which identify such facilities as a conditionally permitted use. The wireless communication facility would benefit the local community, emergency service providers, and visitors by enabling better cell coverage in the Clear Lake Oaks area. The wireless communication tower would benefit the community to bridge the gap of limited cell services in the area. Excuse me. As demonstrated in the visual simulation photos, the new tower would not introduce an unusual or incompatible element of development. The Shoreline Communities Area Plan, as previously discussed, to minimize visual intrusion, the new tower is strategically sited to be compatible with the surrounding utility infrastructure, specifically alongside existing PG&E transmission towers and another Lattice wireless communication facility. Although located on a hilltop for improved wireless communication coverage, it is located outside of the Scenic Combining District boundary and doesn't meet the criteria for the Scenic Combining Zoning District as outlined in page 8 and 9 of your staff report. The tower can be used by emergency service providers to disseminate information to the public regarding wildfires or other local, regional, or larger emergencies. These systems are critical infrastructure vital for public access to information, facilitating both business growth, supporting emergency response capabilities, and enhancing convenience for both residential and commercial uses. The initiative will contribute to the upgrade of cell service coverage for both public and emergency services needs. The project was analyzed with the Lake County Zoning Ordinance for Article 7, Rural Lands, Article 27, Uses Generally Permitted, Article 34, Scenic Combining District, Article 41, Performance Standards, Article 71, Regulations for the Placement of Communication Towers and Antennae. AB 52, tribal notification. Notification of this project was sent to 11 local tribes on February 13th of 2024. February 16th of 2024, consultation was requested by Elam Indian Colony. Tribal consultation was held on March 18th, 2024, and tribal consultation was formally concluded on March 10th of 2025. The California Environmental Quality Act. I did want to note that the staff report contains a typo error as being circulated on September 8th, 2023, but the actual initial study was circulated September 5th, 2025 to October 10th, 2025. A mitigated negative declaration is a proposed CEQA environmental determination for this project. All identified impacts can be reduced to less than significant with mitigation measures implemented. And public comment, as I just stated, was occurred from September 5th, 2025 to October 10th, 2025. The mitigated negative declaration was revised with updated information on November 10th, 2025, adding language to strengthen and clarify analysis. The update in the language constitutes minor technical changes and does not result in the need for recirculation in accordance with CEQA sections 15073.5. The CEQA initial study found that the project could cause potential impacts to resources with aesthetics, air quality, biological resources, cultural resources, geology and soils, hazardous and hazardous materials, hydrology, water quality, tribal cultural resources, and wildfire. With the mitigation measures incorporated, the project is anticipated to have less than a significant impact on the environment. Recommendations. Environmental recommendations is adopt mitigated negative declaration initial study IS 24-03 for use permit PL-25-60 UP 24-03 with findings listed in the staff report, and approve use permit PL-25-60 UP 24-03 with the proposed conditions of approval and with the findings listed in the staff report. Any questions or comments?
I have some questions about the biological resources analysis. We received public comment from the Redbud Audubon Society, and they bring up an important issue, I feel. It's about the collision risk of raptors, eagles. Have we looked at that? I know nothing about how birds nest, or if an eagle lands on this thing, is it going to get fried? Do we know? No, we don't know.
It will not get fried if it lands on a tower. And since the tower is static, we're hoping the birds will go around it.
Okay, thank you.
It's not like a rotating propeller sort of thing. So.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, they're suggesting that a secret review might be, I'm not seeing anything from Fish and Wildlife, so it's a question. It's a big question in my mind.
In general, the recommendations that typically come back from a tower or a static structure are just dealing with construction, avoiding nesting periods. But once they're established, no, we don't have any further. I have not seen further recommendations that would deal with an existing tower or a tower once it's built.
Okay, and my understanding is that this tower is in an area where there are lots of other towers already.
Correct.
Because we have people worried about the scenic corridor and everything, so I'm not quite sure what to say. The damage has been done.
Well, I had questions about those other existing towers in regard to when were they installed and what, was it before there was a push for co-location? Why were they put in this particular location, which it seems like this particular tower is like just 25 feet from the boundary of the scenic corridor, but the other areas or the other towers perhaps appear to be within the scenic corridor. So I guess I'm just wondering when these towers were installed and why they're in the scenic corridor today.
I don't know about the PG&E towers. The existing cell phone or wireless communication facility was installed, I believe, in 2022.
What is the setback from the scenic corridor?
So the scenic combining district setback is 500 feet, and this tower is located outside of that 500 feet. It's about 25 feet outside of it, but it also doesn't meet the criteria. So in scenic combining district, the zoning ordinance lays out seven different criteria that the scenic corridor will apply if two or more of these items are met, and only one of those items is met in that criteria.
And that item is?
The visual standpoint from a highway.
When you say it's 25 feet outside, so it exceeds
Correct.
by 25 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to page 8 and 9, there's a list of what the characteristics are, and only one of them has been met.
Right.
So, but the tower that was approved in 2022, that is within the scenic corridor?
I don't know. That's not my project. I can't say if it is or not.
It looks like in the pictures that it was. So in regard to co-location, why, as our policies basically state that we should look to all means to encourage co-location, what exempts, other than I noticed there was something about sight, I guess I should put on my line of sight.
Correct. So the applicant attempted to co-locate on the existing AT&T tower located on the site. However, during their site visit, it was determined that the hills on the east side would block the antenna from reaching the overall coverage objective area. So the coverage objective area is to start bridging the gap between Lake County and the I-5 because it's a complete dead zone. There is an existing Verizon wireless tower already located just past New Long Valley Road in the hills. So this is going to help bridge the gap currently between Clear Lake Oaks and Spring Valley that is a dead zone. And then they are going to continue to try to implement other towers to bridge that gap of the dead zone. And the tower existing doesn't meet over the top of the hill. So it does not, a co-location wasn't feasible.
And so there's no way, and I'm not into construction of towers and all that. I guess it would have been nice if perhaps that tower could have been built higher, the one that currently exists, to allow for that. I don't know if that's possible or not. But I guess, also we have policy that talks about not creating visual clutter. And that's what it seems like, while my fellow commissioner here has stated the damage has already been done, but how much more do we want to add to that damage, I guess is. So I guess I just wanted to explore or make sure that we fully explore the co-location aspect of it before putting another tower in this site. I guess that's a comment, not a question.
Yeah, so this is just kind of a discussion point. I've been thinking about what is good about this project, and I know that corridor out to Williams is a dead zone, and if you get in trouble, it would be really nice to have cell phone service. So that's what we're fighting for here. I'm thinking what the alternative would be, and it would probably be to put up a tower somewhere in that beautiful corridor, and I'd rather not see that. So to me, that's what the issue is, for me personally anyway.
Yeah, we also do have the applicant via Zoom that may be able to shed more light on those questions regarding co-location. I also see it looks like Chair Chavez is online. I don't know what that does for quorum, but just wanted
He's welcome to attend, but not in a deciding position.
And I also had a question about the generator. I believe I saw it listed that the generator was included, and perhaps maybe the consultant would answer that, but I was just curious at how and when that would be used.
You want me to answer that? Okay, so the generator will be used whenever there is a power outage and then after the battery dies. So like there's going to be a backup battery, the 400 amp meter bank, that will kick on in the event that there's power loss, and then the generator kicks on after battery power is no longer suffice.
One final question in regard to Almond Lane. Per the Caltrans comments, Caltrans was asking that the condition of approval include limited access to Almond Lane, and yet this facility will be using that lane, and so I was just wondering whether those agreements have been met, or the conditions with Caltrans' request.
Caltrans, actually, the comment from Caltrans was that the original proposal was to access the site from Highway 20. Caltrans denied that and said that they must access it from Almond Lane. Almond Lane is not a Caltrans maintained road. They have jurisdiction over the highway, not Almond Lane. So the applicant resubmitted site plans, adjusting the site location or access from Almond Lane.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so we will open a public comment on this topic. If anyone in the chambers wishes to speak, you have please come forward. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name prior to speaking.
Chief Duncan is online, is what Sam just said.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Holly Harris. I'm a Clear Lake Oaks resident, but I also am a council member from the East Region Town Hall, which covers that area. My colleague Angela Amaral is also a member too. She is here. So I will go through, we submitted a comment letter that should be in the public comments from the East Region Town Hall. I just hope that you saw that. Anyway, at that, oh, sorry. At that time, we had questions and comments that we hoped to be addressed in these final documents, but many of those were still not addressed, so I'm going to ask them again. First one, there are still no agency comments included from CAL FIRE or the North Shore Fire Protection District, despite being in an SRA very high fire area, so I'm very glad to hear that Mr. Duncan's on the line. So that is one issue that really concerns us. It appears that the project requires SERS reporting, which is mitigation G3, based on the amount of diesel fuel being stored. We think that is 300 feet of defensible space, but we can't find mention of it. While we requested to see the correct alternative analysis, the original one included locations, co-locations or areas in Santa Barbara and Colorado and showed a different location. Instead, it was removed from this packet. There is another willing property owner in the vicinity, a little bit more to the east, and they told us that they were not contacted about this. We asked about 4290, 4291 road compliance. Is this going to be completed when they start construction or when they finish construction? The visual simulation did not show the 150-foot cell tower that is there, though I did see that in the photos that were shown up there. Now, the updated analysis of scenic criteria was included. First of all, I would like to say that analysis is fairly subjective. It depends upon what you like and what you don't like when you look at stuff. But this parcel is currently zoned scenic combining, which does not allow cell towers and has no 500-foot setbacks. In fact, on page 7 of the staff report, it states, although located on a hilltop for improved wireless communication coverage, it is not located outside of the scenic combining district boundary. Now, regarding the scenic combining district setbacks, we have never been able to find any document that supports this. We brought this up at the last cell tower meeting that we were talking about right there. And after this, we addressed this with prior director Mary Darby in 2022, who spoke with county council. They were not able to come up with anything to support this setback, and she said, we don't have a leg to stand on. This was also brought up at the Nina Star Farms appeal with the Board of Supervisors in April of this year, and both Supervisors Owen and Sabatier stated they could not find the origin of that corridor setback, at which point the Community Development Director stated that setbacks in the scenic combining overlay, we've sort of evolved over time. Anyway, Earth supports the expansion of emergency services and cell phone coverage, but we very much want to see comments from CAL FIRE, since it's SRA high fire area, and we would like to address the scenic setback issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Would Chief Duncan like to join the meeting here with comments?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a comment just regarding, I did not see any fuels clearance around the noted in the staff report. I wasn't sure it was being addressed. The 4290 and 4291 did look like they were being addressed with the road standard, which is fine, but my worry in that site is that it is a frequent site of devastating vegetation fires, and in that fuel model, we've had several fires come off the Highway 20 corridor and greatly impact those sites. So if that's going to be critical infrastructure and communications, that it should have the 300-foot clearance around the site so that it's not impacted during a fire event. As far as the communication tower and relocating that to that location, that's great. That Highway 20 corridor is a dead zone, like some folks said. We've had multiple fatality accidents out there, overturned cattle trucks, and having the ability to get early reporting of those incidents since the call boxes are not in service anymore. And then for first responders to have communications, I think that is huge. So greatly support the idea. Just want to make sure that that site is protected when fire impacts it. That's our comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, public input from those in the chamber? Any others from the Zoom? No. All right. I will.
So what kind of clearance do we have?
But we can always add it as
Can we
have-
amend to this?
At this time, in the conditions, it's the 4290 and 4291 driveway standards. We're happy to suggest also adding the required clearance as a condition of approval.
I would have to have that 300-foot clearance to approve this.
We'll note that in the record as a condition.
Is that a condition that can be achieved?
I believe so, but the applicant is available via Zoom if you guys would like to speak with the applicant.
Yes, please.
We have Justin G., or also known Justin Grondendijk, available via Zoom if he wanted to chime in.
Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Chair, and staff. Can you guys hear me? Perfect. My name is Justin Grondijk with Sequoia Deployment Services, and I am representing Verizon Wireless. Some of the questions you may have had regarding co-location and things like that, we looked into, and unfortunately, we were unable to make an agreement with AT&T due to having to add a 150-foot lattice tower on top of theirs, thus making it unsafe for the area around. Regarding the 300-foot clearance needed for fire, Verizon will accept that, and we concur with all staff conditions at this point.
I have a question. Since this tower is proposed to be 150 feet, what kind of co-location opportunities will this tower offer when we have the next cell tower come to the area? What can you do to accommodate co-location?
This one is ready for co-location for up to an additional 2 different service providers. So it's ready to go once this tower is built.
Thank you.
So I have a question. The woman who spoke about another site that might be more amenable to the area. Is that something that has been discussed, been explored? Any possibility?
That would be a question for the applicant. At this time, we just review what is proposed in front of us in the application. So staff doesn't have the ability to suggest that, but the applicant may be able to speak to that.
I am not, sorry, I'm not sure which site she's referring to. We did reach out to a numerous number of sites, but due to this one being on top of the hilltop, it was the best candidate for us, and the fact that it was surrounded by, SCE and another tower currently.
Any other questions?
Well, I guess my only, perhaps a comment in regard to that is the cell tower company has not is unaware of another site that a public member is aware of, and staff is not aware of or hasn't looked at that, but yet our information indicates that when we're looking at and exploring to the maximum level of opportunity for co-location, that it falls to our community development director. So,
The applicant, who's here, the representative, may not have the information of the research of all the different sites that they went through before selecting one, but I know that there are a number of criteria that result in a selected site. The willingness of the property owner, the maximum amount of coverage from a particular point. So I am actually comfortable that choosing this site because of already existing nearby sites is an adequate report that comes to you. I wouldn't be surprised if we got the entry level investigations, if there were a number of other sites that they had already looked at that just may not be at his fingertips at this time. So yes, I support the department's position.
Well, may I ask the applicant's representative, were there other sites? Are you aware? And as was stated, you may not be.
Correct. Yes, I just pulled up the document. We looked at a total of 6 different sites before choosing this one. So I'm not sure which site exactly the member of the public is referring to, if we looked at it or not. So that's all that I'm.
okay, and then beyond that, I guess I'd just like to state for the record that in 71.8 general development standards for all wireless telecommunication facilities, there are a couple points listed, and one is that new communication facilities shall be discouraged on ridgetop sites where they will be silhouetted against the sky from communities, highways, and major collector roads, or from the highly used public areas. And I guess my point is I'm just hoping that the community development has taken that into consideration as well.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, we did do an analysis of all those criteria on page 8 and 9 of the staff report. Unfortunately, with cell phone towers, sometimes to get that service, you do have to go up higher, but we did consider that in our findings and the analysis.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
I move the Planning Commission find that potential impacts associated with UPPL 2560, UP 2403 can be mitigated to less than significant through the implementation of the Mitigated Negative Declaration IS 2403 PL 2560 for Sequoia on behalf of Verizon on the property located at 16200 East State Highway 20, Clear Lake Oaks, APN 010-020-29, with the findings in the staff report dated November 17th, 2025.
With reservation, I second.
All right, so moved and seconded. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anything else on that?
You have the major use permit.
Yeah, so did the motion pass?
Yeah.
I move that the Planning Commission approve major use permit PL 2560, UP 2403 for Sequoia on behalf of Verizon on property located at 16200 East Highway 20, Clear Lake Oaks, APN 010-020-29, with the findings in the staff report dated November 17th, 2025, as amended today to include a 300-foot fire safety clearance.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
You have to read the 7-day.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
The applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides 7 calendar days to appeal. If there's any disagreement with the Planning Commission's decision, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicant fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on the day before the 7th calendar day following the Planning Commission's final determination. So, thank you. We'll move on to 6B. 6B is consideration of a major use permit and categorical exemption PL-25-15 for a Derma Group to change the use of an existing 55-foot tall tower for the use of telecommunications tower. Project location, 1135 Water Trough Road, Clear Lake Oaks, APN 628-120-04.
Good morning, Commissioners. Max Stockton, Associate Planner, Community Development Department, here on behalf of a major use permit for the Derna Group. The consultant, Rachel Bruin, should be available via Zoom. And this is for a tower off of Highway 20 that is already existing, and the applicant has requested to have this site as a co-location facility. This is an existing site that they would like to convert. On this site is a lattice tower and associated buildings, a building that has been situated on this property since the 1960s. The current horn antennas mounted on the tower extend to a total of 55 feet. Previously, the land use permit was not required. However, as per Article 27, a major use permit is now necessary. The Derna Group has accordingly submitted an application for this permit to authorize the co-location of wireless communication equipment on the site and to support the connectivity along Highway 20. As seen on the map there, in the blue square with a blue arrow pointed to it and the yellow line there referencing Highway 20. Water Trough Road is approximately 2.5 miles in length to access the gate of this tower, which borders the Double Eagle Ranch without being included in the community. Water Trough Road is a mixed deteriorated asphalt and dirt road off State Highway 20. According to the deeded legal description, pardon me, a 100-foot non-exclusive access easement is shown on the Lake County Assessor's Plat of Double Eagle Ranch, leading to a 20-foot existing road easement shown on the Lake County Assessor's Plat of Double Eagle Ranch. The applicant's lease does allow them to access to this property as a utility easement, and the applicant would not be responsible for maintenance of the portion of the roadway that is not on the leased property for utility purposes. As can be seen on this slide, the property and surrounding lots are all designated as rural lands. These properties are part of the Shoreline Community Area Plan, and within Supervisory District 3. The tower site is located on a flat portion of a relatively steep lot with no water courses or riparian areas in close proximity. The proposed wireless communication facility application, as proposed, includes a modification to the existing tower and facility to accommodate co-location purposes. As a note, there is currently a protected bird nest on top of the existing building that is currently and will continue to be maintained and monitored by American Tower, who currently leases the property. And there is a nesting season that is outside of the construction times. So there is that time is already designated to not operate or construct for that nested bird. The Lake County General Plan has been reviewed and for compliance and supports this project through Chapter 3, Land Use, and Chapter 5, Public Facilities and Services. The Shoreline Community Area Plan was found to have various objectives and policies in support of the project. And the zoning ordinances include Article 7 for rural lands, Article 27 for uses permitted, Article 41 for performance standards, and Article 71 for regulations regarding the placement of communication towers and antennae, which were reviewed to support the co-location. As can be seen on this slide, a variety of categorical exemptions per CEQA were reviewed and found to be acceptable for this exemption from the initial study mitigated negative declaration. And this project is eligible for these categorical exemptions because the facility is existing, and this permit will allow the applicant to refurbish and upgrade the current facility through replacement and reconstruction of the infrastructure. On this page, you will see a map of the Yocha-Dihi Winton Nation territory, and that was found on their website. Notification of the project was sent to the local tribes with Aboriginal territory on September 19th of 2024, and tribal consultation was requested by the Yocha-Dihi Winton Nation. Consultation was held and concluded on January 8th of 2025. Staff would like to request the adoption of categorical exemption of use permit PL 25-15 with findings within the staff report, and the approval of major use permit PL-25-15 with the proposed conditions of approval with the findings in the staff report. And that concludes my presentation to you. If you do have any questions, I just want to remind you that the consultant of this project should be available via Zoom.
Thank you. Questions from the commission?
Again, from the photographs, I can see that there's a lot of brush around the facility, and I'm not seeing any CAL FIRE comments in the agency comments.
Yeah, at this time, CAL FIRE did not provide a comment for this specific project, although it was sent out with the RFR.
Is there a stipulated or recommended setback?
Staff is amenable to adding that as well, per the guidance of, I believe, Chief Duncan is still online. we can add that as a condition.
So Commissioner Field, would you want to recommend, as you did in the last?
Yes. Also, I'm sorry, I think I might be confusing the two projects. Is this going to increase the height of the, okay, that's my main concern.
For clarification purposes, no, this is not proposed to exceed the height. The current height is 55 feet with the current antennae that are currently on there from the past. And the applicant is actually proposed to have their equipment installed below that. The tower is currently 35 feet, and their equipment should be around 32, 33. I mean, if we're picking hairs there. Below, so that's a total height.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So at that height, I guess it's, we're hearing two cell tower projects. We have one that's going 150 feet because of a need to be able to reach, spread that communication for a long, range, big range. And then here we have one that is considerably shorter. So what benefit will this, at that height, what benefit will that actually provide to the community and to the surrounding area? And again, my question would go to possible co-location. Are we, again, building another structure that would be unable to accommodate co-location in the future?
All the details are not within the community development wheelhouse, but I do know that the consultant did say that multiple sites were analyzed and researched, and I'm sure she can speak more clearly about that. She does suspect that co-location will come once this project is approved. They felt this was a good site, not to put words in their mouth, but they chose this site because of its rural characteristics and found that it will help to expand across that valley, and I hope that she'll chime in shortly.
And when she does, I'd also like to hear a response to the comment from Aidan Steele about the use of the road and whether they're willing to mitigate the effects of the traffic.
Can we hear from the applicant? Oh,
Yeah, I'm willing to hear from the applicant and community before additional questions.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Bruin, and I represent T-Mobile. I'm with the Derner Group. And just to speak on what Max was saying about us looking into other potential towers or in the area, this was the best fit for the best coverage. They research that. They run a report to show what kind of coverage it's going to give in that area. And given that this is also an existing cell site that's inactive at this point, we're not building a new facility, so we're able to co-locate on something that's already existing. And as far as the comment for the road, I don't foresee that being an issue at all. We don't have a lot of work that needs to be done, so these are going to be smaller trucks that come up there as we're just putting antennas onto that existing tower and then some cabinets inside of the existing building. So I really don't foresee an issue at all with the road that's in place. And then we do have that utility easement, and our road up to the tower is in compliance with emergency turnaround and gravel.
other questions for the applicant? All right, I will open a public hearing. So anyone in the chamber or online, if you step up to the microphone, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Amaral for Double Eagle Ranch Property Owners Association. Before my time starts, I would like to request that the Property Owners Association be afforded more time than the 3 minutes, since we are the ones responsible for the road. We have a lot of concerns that I don't think I can get through in 3 minutes. So I'd like to ask respectfully request that I be allowed more time than the allotted 3 minutes, if that'd be amenable to the commissioners.
If there are others in your group, they can,
I have all three committee members from Double Eagle, but I'll be doing the majority, and then they can do the 3 minutes.
they can share their
Yes.
3 minutes with you.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful, thank you. I appreciate that. First, I'd like to start off with the claim that CAL FIRE did not submit a comment. That's not correct. CAL FIRE did actually submit a comment September 23rd, 2024, with several concerns about this project. I have copies here if the commission would like them. I have copies for each of you. Thank you. Yes, I don't know why they were omitted, but they did submit comment. One other thing, sorry, Commissioner Fields, if you want, I'll give you a copy of these as well. This is a letter from the property owners. So it was only a 72-hour window for us to reach out to property owners. So we were only able to get in touch with a handful of them, but those were ones that have genuine concerns about fire concerns. So I'd like to start off with the categorical exemption. And a categorical exemption, under a categorical exemption, there is something that's called an unusual circumstance. And it has to be put through what's called the Berkeley Hillside 2-part test. I don't know if this project has gone through that to see if it is an unusual circumstance. While this has been a tower that's been dormant for over 20 years, to the point where PG&E disconnected the drop line to it and recently reinstalled it. Let's see. The other thing is this microwave site was constructed prior to legislation enacting CEQA in the 1970s. Therefore, the site has never been evaluated under CEQA. No co-location alternate analysis reviewed was provided for this proposed project. There was a neighboring parcel outside of Double Eagle. There's a lot of mention that this borders is on the outskirts of Double Eagle. This is located within Double Eagle Ranch. It's surrounded by Double Eagle parcels. There was a neighboring parcel that they were looking at previously, and there was a access issue. So that's when they came over to this site. While the parcel does have a 100 by 20 foot non-exclusive easement on Water Trough Road, it is 3 miles to the public road, which is Highway 20, and the easement is only 100 feet in length. The subdivision was recorded with the county in 1971, and the project is not part of the POA, does not contribute toward the road maintenance. The proposed roads were never intended to be for commercial activity, and the CCNR strictly prohibit commercial uses. Our dues that we pay are to maintain those roads for residential uses. The project proposes to have 3 businesses co-locate on this tower. While public utilities are afforded a public utility easement, it does not afford them the right to use an easement that will cause damage to our privately maintained roads. DERPOA, just to elaborate a little bit, DERPOA is right now in the process of, we've run in with this issue with other major utility companies, and we're in the process of coming up to an agreement, because while they do have use, they do have to contribute and assist us as well. And we are working through this with our attorney and other major utility companies in the area. The developer is not, to date, they have not reached out to us to let us know the size. We do have a weight limit on our road. It's a 12-ton weight limit. We do not know what kind of equipment is going to be accessing this road. So we respectfully request that the developer work in conjunction with us to ensure our concerns are addressed, such as being done with other utility companies that are in our area. Verizon did do a line of sight assessment to see if they could do co-location at 80 feet above the tower. So there is a potential for this tower to exceed the 55 feet that's being proposed right now. So I think that is I would just, respectfully request that the CAL FIRE email does state that they wanted fire tank suppression. There is going to be batteries. There is going to be a generator. That's the problem with this, is that because it is being done under a categorical exemption, we are not afforded all of the information that would be done as for the previous tower biological assessments. As we now know that there is a nest up there, and that's also a concern. The CAL FIRE stated that a water tank for fire suppression is needed. Private access roads shall meet standard road widths, slope, surface, turnaround, and similar were not identified in the supplied documents, and all structures shall have defensible space. I know that there was discussion that there would be fire extinguishers strategically placed within the building, but how well do those work when there's nobody to grab a fire extinguisher and put something out? So just please keep in mind that these roads, we sent out an email to all the commissioners to do a site visit. I don't know if any of you had a chance to make your way out there to look at this area. But residents are very concerned. We get winds 60, 70 miles an hour are not uncommon. So if something was to start a fire up there, this is at the northest part of the ranch, and all of the residents would have to leave there. They say that there is county staff had mentioned in the staff report that there are a handful of residents that live out there full-time, and we have over close to 40 residents, including elderly and families with children that live out there. And Water Trough Road is the only way out. We really need to take into consideration doing this under a categorical exemption. I think it needs to be reviewed under the Berkeley Hillside two-part test and go through a full review if we are going to approve it. While we would like to, every resident that I've spoken to out there has cell phone coverage. We don't have an issue with that. So we understand the desire to have cell phone coverage on Highway 20, but like I said, there are other areas, other parcels around Double Eagle that are not included in Double Eagle that could be used instead of ours. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, staff would like to request a 5-minute break.
We'll take a 5-minute break and be back shortly. There are a whole lot of things here that are and I don't know what the Berkeley test is. But I'm So far, nobody's throwing anything at me, so. Wanna bang this? Right. Thank you. We're back, and public input is still open, and so please state your name.
Thank you. I'm Ann Riggs. I'm a licensed architect, and I'm a longtime, and my family and I are longtime residents of Lake County. I just want to highlight the reasons why the proposed CEQA exemption and major use permit are not ready to be approved today. Firstly, the CEQA categorical exemption. A project is only eligible for a categorical exemption under CEQA for an existing use if the proposed use includes only minor alterations that do not increase hazards, risks to health and safety of their neighbors. This project is adding new fuel sources to a site that has been unused for several decades. And furthermore, when the existing site was first used for the current or previous cell tower use, there were not residences surrounding. So conditions have changed over time. The risk of fire has increased in California. We have fire events of increasing frequency and severity. The presence of residential permanently occupied uses near the project site has changed over time. And there are now people who live in this area who are experiencing very high risk to their personal safety on an annual basis due to the underlying conditions, high winds, dry conditions. So a project that increases those risks, increases the risk of ignition, already essentially would be not eligible for a categorical exemption under CEQA, and this project deserves to be fully analyzed to have a complete understanding of the risks associated with the project and an opportunity for agencies, including the relevant fire authorities, to provide their comments and find a solution that protects the safety of residents. And then also there are some issues with the major use permit findings. Again, obviously there's a primary finding that needs to happen. I think it's in Article 41 that a proposed project will not increase hazards to residents, which is a critical finding that needs to be confirmed. And then also there are development standards associated with access, which you saw the map of the 3-mile road. It's not clear how the applicant is meeting the development standards requiring access. I think that was that my time? All right, I'll introduce my father, Robert Riggs, to make some additional comments.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Robert Riggs. I reside at 7477 Lakeland Drive in Clear Lake. And I'm here, I'm not representing anybody. I'm just here as a citizen. I just happen to be here for some other things, but I want to just talk about Water Trough Road, the road in, let's call it. If you haven't been on the road in, I can tell you it's a shock to try to drive that. It's not a road, it's a road that puts you within an inch of your life, especially when it's dark or when it's raining. It's not a very good road. And I was the most surprised to hear the statement that we don't need to do anything about the road as part of this project. I would think that alone should be studied very carefully, because they're trying to revive something that hasn't been used since the last century, as far as I know. And the road to get there and to get out of there is a hazard. And they should be required to upgrade that. And I believe that's one thing Mike Wink said in his comments too, is that this road needs to meet the standards for something of this kind, and currently it doesn't. So those are my comments.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lauren Schneider. I've been coming to the Double Eagle Ranch since 1994. I bought property there in 2008, and I currently have lived there full-time since 2017, and I'm currently on the committee representing not only myself, but all members of Double Eagle Homeowners Property Association. In the years that I've been at the Double Eagle Ranch, I've been evacuated 4 times because of potential wildfire danger. All of us have upgraded what we do every year to mitigate and help, fire suppression. I spend $1,000 a year hiring guys to weed whack a defensible perimeter. I spend hundreds of dollars having guys cut down my dead wood and remove fuel load. We spend money as an association getting rid of fuel load, and we have very dense chaparral at the ranch. The chaparral near this tower would inflame in a second. As we mentioned about the road, we try to maintain that road because it is the only egress for citizens in a major wildfire. And I think all of us know how easy it is for that to happen very instantly. So we are very concerned that this tower, which is above us and creates almost like a ticking time bomb, we would never know. We have high winds, if a spark, if something happens, 2 fire extinguishers unmanned is not enough of an assurance. And why, as a community, we would not expect the Derma Group and T-Mobile, who has enough resources to hire Billy Bob Thornton to be their spokesperson, why would we exempt them from requirements that will safeguard our safety as tax-paying citizens? It is just unconscionable to me. And you can understand, I think, as citizens, why we would be nervous having this in our neighborhood without that assurance that they're not going to do anything except put 2 fire extinguishers at the top of a ranch behind a locked gate. I also have the 3rd committee member who is not here today. Darius has written a nice letter expressing the 3 of us are very much against, so you don't need an extra copy you have. What? This one's different. May I also give this? He also, as committee members of DERPA, we respectfully request that we do need a full CEQA review. We feel like our lives, our properties are not even being acknowledged by this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. It's the same matter. Okay, thank you. Are there any folks on Zoom with hands up to make a comment? Oh, Zoom
Yes.
away.
Paul Duncan. Yes, this is Paul Duncan. I don't know if I'm
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
no problem. I think some of the issue with this is there was 2 separate reviews. So this year's got a different use permit number than last year's when we put the comment in. So the use permit we put in the comment for was 24-13, and that's not the same as the one today. So that maybe that's where some of the comment got lost. But yes, as far as the CAL FIRE comments, the road standards are a huge thing. The fire clearance around the site, Chief Wink references the 300 feet. The 500 feet that I request is due to the site being critical infrastructure and part of the 911 system. That area is a high fire severity zone. So like the folks of the Double Eagle have said, with 4 evacuations in that area and the Highway 20 corridor, which is fire prone, in that fuel model, that site and that tower needs greater clearances. We don't want that thing impacted by fire when it comes up in that area. On the other side, having communications in that tower and that with more reach than what we currently have is a significant safety improvement. So fully support the tower as long as we can comply with the defensible space and those clearances to keep that tower from being impacted by fire. And also the clearances around it will protect the local landowners from fire coming out of that site. So kind of a double-sided thing. One last comment, and brought this up to CDD previous tower, was the Lake County General Plan in Section 5.7 lists visual impact, and that is that the county shall encourage those sites of telecommunications to try to be located away from residential and open areas when possible, located on existing buildings, and then camouflage, painting, textured, or otherwise design them to integrate into the condition around the installation site. So really to try and make those less of an eyesore, and especially for folks out in Double Eagle who have to look at that thing every day, try to make it look like a tree or brush, or try to incorporate it more into the landscape because it will be a visual thing out there. So that is it for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public? Oh, thank you. Okay. From Zoom, one more. Marco?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for taking my comment. 2 months ago, Lake County commemorated the 10-year anniversary of the Valley Fire. That was devastating. And those issues of high fire hazard still are with us today. You hear it from the residents of Double Eagle. You hear it in the concern of many people who have comments to make about proposed projects before you. So you have had at least 2 speakers today comment on the inappropriate application of CEQA categorical exemption. And they are correct. CEQA categorical exemption does not apply in this case for at least one reason, and that has already been mentioned, and that is because the use of the project site has ceased. One moment, I have to pull up my note. There's been discontinuity or lapse in use, and so that eliminates the application of a categorical exemption. So to move forward, your commission should require an initial study, and that would take into account the residents' concerns of high fire risk and the inadequacy of the road. And that takes care of my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Margot. Appreciate your comments. We have another one online. State your name, please.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Darius Wadia. I'm a property owner and a committee member on Double Eagle Ranch. I submitted an e-comment fairly late. I'm not sure if you have access to it. I'd really like if that's reviewed, but I'm happy to read it out if you'd like. I'm basically requesting that the categorical exemption not be applied to this. I think this is a textbook case of when not to use a categorical exemption. And in addition to the e-comment, I mean, I just want to add that I've had wildfire come right up to my property. I've had CAL FIRE set up on my property, and I've literally they've had to drop fire retardant from a plane directly on one of my buildings. So this is not a minor issue over here. And I'm in a direct line of sight from the tower 600 meters away. That's less than half a mile away. I mean, I could see it clear as day right from my house. It definitely has an aesthetic impact and is definitely really close. And I'm not the only one that close to it. And again, the area has changed. I mean, residences have been built there since this tower was put up. So I don't want to take a lot of your time going over the same things everyone else already said, but I appreciate you considering these new facts. Thank you.
Thank you, Darius. Anyone else on Zoom? Anyone else in the chambers? All right, I will close public comment and bring it back to the commission here.
Vice Chair, if the commission is amenable, we do have responses to some of the public input concerns, including the CAL FIRE letter. Max can address the CAL FIRE letter and the way this project already addresses wildfire concerns. Michelle has the list of reasons for exceptions to a categorical exemption that is in state law. And if necessary, Nicole can address road access.
All right, thank you. Please.
All right, so yes, this section of the fire comments that did come in were extensive, I believe 3-4 pages in length. These were generally pretty standard comments here, and some of the comments were regarding access. So the access to this property currently has a gate and it has a PG&E easement going through it. So there are multiple access points and the gate does meet standards there. It does have the locks necessary for fire agencies to access the property. And then once you are on the property, there is, I believe it's a 40-foot wide easement, and it is all graveled, all cleared of all the brush and debris, leading to the actual site, which is surrounded with gravel. There's no debris, as you could see from the images that I presented earlier from the actual site. There's nothing outstanding there. These are 4290 standards. These are 4290 requirements for fire safety and for mitigating the necessity of clearance there. Things like bridges, there are no bridges, so those comments wouldn't really apply. The weather roadway surface, it's a gravel surface. It's less than a 16% grade, and so that is an acceptable surface for this property. Let's see. Yeah, the width is met. These items are met already on the site. Nothing extra was necessary from these comments. Again, they're rather generic for a site like this that already has these things met on property.
Go ahead. Did you?
Go ahead.
And just to add to that, the use permit number was just an artifact, if you will, of us switching over to the OpenGov system, as you all are aware. So a lot of our projects, the original use permit number was 2413, and then it gets assigned a PL number in OpenGov. So that's where maybe some of that confusion came from. But we did review those comments, and all of the 4290 requirements are met, and we are proposing to also add that 300-foot clearance, as we mentioned, for vegetation. Regarding CEQA, many of the commenters noted exceptions to the categorical exemptions when you are applying such exemptions. It gets tricky with the wording, exceptions, exemptions. It's a mouthful. But the exceptions are identified in CEQA regulations 15300.2. And I won't read them word for word, but I'll just go over what they are. There are a few of them. One is a cumulative impact. One is if a project has a significant impact, it says a categorical exemption shall not be used for an activity where there is reasonable possibility that activity will have a significant effect on the environment due to unusual circumstances. One is for scenic highways, one or proximity to scenic highways and impacts. One is for hazardous waste sites, and that's specifically related to, it says a project exemption shall not be used for a project located on a site which is included in any list compiled to section 65962.5 of the government code. Those are toxic waste sites that are identified in like the DTSC or EnviroStore websites. So a little bit different than when folks mention a hazard related to wildfire, for example, as far as the exceptions go. And the last one is related to historical resources. So staff found that none of those exceptions to the exemption apply or are existing. As Max noted and is identified in the staff report, it is an existing facility. I understand that it may not have been used for the last several years, but it is a facility and the project would co-locate on that facility. So it's not expanding the footprint, for example, or resulting in any ground disturbance or physical impact that would need to be further analyzed within an initial study.
Can you repeat that code that you read?
Yes, go back to it. It is 15300.2, and that is exceptions.
Thank you.
Sure, and then following that is are the list of categorical exemptions.
There was a comment made about a Berkeley test. I'm assuming it refers to the Berkeley fire. Can you give us a little more comment about what that refers to? Is that just the ability to exit when there's a disaster?
I think the commenter was referring to the list of exceptions there and included maybe a study or something, but we go off of the exceptions listed that I noted and ensure that each of those is not met. So that's how we perform that analysis, unless council knows.
Yeah, Madam Vice Chair. So the reference is to a Berkeley case in which the court analyzed a decision made by the city that considered that provided the analysis for significant effects exceptions. And they determined there's a two-part test there. And the first and foremost, and both elements need to be met, but the first one that needs to be determined is whether or not there is an unusual circumstance that differentiates the particular project in question from the general class of similarly situated projects. And this particular project does not rise to that level. This is a standard utility installation, and the analysis and the location from and staff can certainly provide you more details, but from what we've seen, it doesn't seem to be that there are any unusual circumstances related to this particular project. The second element would be that once you determine that there's an unusual circumstance related to this specific project that makes it different than every other utility project being proposed, in a sense, is that the agency would consider what environmental impacts that unusual circumstance creates. So you would have to determine first that there is an unusual circumstance in relation to this particular project, and then the lead agency would then determine what environmental impacts that unusual circumstance may have created, and then that, if both of those are met, then the exemption does not apply. So then the project could not be exempt. But under the particular exemption that's applied here. So, but in order to apply that exception to the exemption, both of those elements need to be met. And that's what the lead agency would need to find here.
So just to clarify, there's only one road in, which is obviously then one road out, to the facility and to the surrounding residents in this particular area. Just one way. Is that correct?
Yes. Can I add one more thing related to follow up on one of the items that was noted related to CEQA, the bird nest? So the nest on site, it's actually a federally protected bird nest that has already been registered, and the applicant is online and can speak to the details of that more, but essentially it's something that has already been accounted for, and there are avoidance and measures related to that. So I just didn't want to leave that unspoken for.
I'd like to discuss this first. I'm very concerned about all the neighbors don't want this. And one of the big issues is the road. That needs to be taken care of. Also, no ground disturbance. If we're clearing, our fire guy said he's requesting 500-foot clearance, not 300. And if we clear 500 feet around that, that's significant. I'm not a scientist, I don't know exactly how they do that, but clearing 500 feet of vegetation is going to affect the environment. So I have serious doubts about whether this, also the fact that it was built, 54 years ago? It seems to me that, yes, it should be reviewed according to CEQA. These many concerns are balanced by the other thing that Chief Duncan said, which was that this project would significantly improve the safety for the area with the 911 system. So I do think it's worth pursuing solving these problems. I would suggest that the applicant engage in some kind of conversation with the community to solve these many problems. I don't think that I'm anywhere close to being able to approve this today, but I would like to see, I'd like to see these things addressed so that the improvements that Paul Duncan mentioned could be achieved. Those are my comments.
Commissioners, just as a note, the county and any lead agencies in California, local agencies, do not have a great deal of authority when it comes to siting and regulating cell towers. We are federally preempted in a lot of instances in the way we regulate them and whether or not we can. One of the regulations that the federal government has put on is what's called a shot clock. And that means that the local agency is given a very narrow amount of time in which to approve an application or deny an application. If the agency takes no action and that shot clock date passes, then the federal government will have deemed the application approved as submitted. And the shot clock date for this particular project is this Friday. You do not have an option to continue past that date. You do still have an option of approving or denying today. You may consider another continuation before Friday if that's something you wish to do, but I'm not sure if staff has input as to whether or not your certain concerns can be addressed in that time frame. Also, as for roads, Commissioner Field, you were not specific as to what your concerns were. However, I will say that the county looks at not just safety regulations related to roads like 4290, 4291, but also road access for projects. If that particular lot has access, say for example, it was subdivided and that lot was given easements that were recorded and those easements allow for access to that property, then that property has use of the road. The county, however, does not regulate the rights and obligations of owners in those circumstances. So if it's a private road that's been subdivided, that's been a collection of easements, for example, in a subdivision, the county would not be in a position to enforce the rights and responsibilities in relation to that road. But there are civil code, California civil code rules that allow for that, but it's amongst the respective parties themselves. So, for example, Section 845 of the California Civil Code addresses obligations of owners, and it gives the other owners on a road the right to sue owners that don't contribute their share, and it also lays out how much, how responsibilities are divided and that sort of thing. So the county wouldn't be enforcing that. It is already a civil code rule that the owners in that area have the right to use or to cite, but that would not be something that your commission would enforce.
So we're not allowed to consider those issues?
You would consider the basics of, so your commission would be considering the basics that go, the facts and circumstances that go into the findings you have to make. So for example, conditions of roads, safety, ingress, egress, access, in comparison to the use that's being proposed. So for example, if somebody at the end of a road was putting in a 500-room hotel, then you would consider all of the traffic that goes on that road and the ingress, egress, safety, and that sort of thing. Conversely, if they were simply installing a single-family dwelling, then you would consider, the traffic in relation to that and the condition of the road as it stands. But you would not be considering the obligations amongst the road owners, if that makes sense.
So just to clarify, if we take no action today, the project is likely to be approved on Friday.
The applicant has already agreed to several extensions of that shot clock, very generously. They are not willing to agree to another one. So this Friday, that shot clock will pass, and if no action is taken, then the rules will have deemed the project approved, and they can move forward with it as presented to you.
So the only way to prohibit that is to deny the,
Or approve it, depending with amendments, depending on your analysis.
if we
today.
do nothing, it will go ahead.
Mhm.
We either have to say yes, which obviously means it'll go ahead, or no, which means it is, in order to exhume it or start it again, they'd have to start from the beginning.
No, there would be, they would have the same options, the applicant, as any speakers here today, would, no matter what your decision today is, anybody with any interested party has the option to challenge your decision with an appeal to the board.
To the Board of Supervisors.
So just to let my fellow commissioners know where I'm at on this project is, given the information that we just received from council, I too was kind of feeling, as my fellow commissioner Miley Field was speaking of, that there are changes that need to be made to this. So again, given the information just provided by council, I would be more inclined to deny this project. And basically, that's based on a number of things that have been brought up by the community members, as well as that by Chief Duncan and all of the information before us. But number one is I cannot agree with the number one finding in the staff report with the material as presented today.
Let me just ask a question about the CEQA exemption. Is there any way to require if the applicant wishes to reapply, to request that there is a full CEQA study done in order to move forward? Or is that anything that we can recommend? It seems like a lot of these issues might be covered through that, or at least addressed. I understood what you said about why it was given an exemption. It seems like that really it should be further studied. You're taking a site that has been dormant for decades and retrofitting it into, upgrading it, and it seems like that there should be more study done if this is going to be the proposal. I do understand the need for, good communication. I drive Highway 20 a lot, it's very dark at night, and if something happened, I would certainly like to have some help, so I agree, I understand that. We have to balance the issues. So, can we request that, or would that be part of, that a CEQA, full CEQA analysis be done if the applicant reapplies? That's something we could request?
Well, we're not exactly at the point of reapplication. You wouldn't necessarily make the request. It would be an assessment. If you can't make the findings, then that's one thing when it's brought before you. I don't think we've been in a situation, you would, ideally, and I would ask that if you are voting against adoption today, that you identify the findings you cannot make, and ideally the sort of facts and circumstances on which that prevents you from making those findings for the approval today. That way we have a complete record for the board. I don't think we've ever had a circumstance in which the Planning Commission has denied with a recommendation.
Okay, well, then this may be a
Well, we're
first.
just-
We're just trying to be helpful.
Yes, no, I understand. The board reviews any decisions on appeal de novo, however, so regardless of recommendations, they may disagree. They make the review of any appeal decisions entirely afresh. They do take into consideration the record, which will, from your planning commission, which will be included in what is provided to them, but they analyze it entirely new. So I'm not sure what a recommendation for a full sequel review would do.
Can't hurt.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Alrighty. There's one, we closed public comment. We can reopen it.
If your commission chooses to reopen, Madam Chair, if you choose to reopen public comment, I would only say that you would need to open it for anybody who
Oh, of
wishes to
course,
comment,
of
not
course.
just the one person.
You want to open? You want to open, reopen? Nope.
I don't really need to.
Alrighty then. We'll just move forward, and your motion is?
I move the Planning Commission find that the categorical exemption PL 2515 applied for by the Derna Group on property located at 1135 Water Trough Road, Clear Lake Oaks, APN 628-12004, may have a significant effect on the environment, and therefore a categorical exemption shall not be approved.
Need a second?
I second.
Moved and seconded to deny the exemption. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So should we state why we denied? Would that be helpful?
Yes. That's what-
Okay.
That's what she said.
Okay, I think we have. Do we need to make a separate statement?
If the commissioners who are voting nay have already discussed the findings that they cannot make and the reasons they can't make it, then that will be sufficient for the record.
Okay.
I do have one quick question, if I may. Is Everardo, our fellow chair, commissioner, present? And no, okay.
No.
Not able to vote.
Correct.
All right.
Well, just for the record or whatever, I cannot make findings 1 or 3 on this proposal, and has to do with roads and fire and safe access and the health and safety of the neighborhood, the folks in the community.
My concerns are the same, and whether I can make a recommendation if this moves forward, that they have a full CEQA, I'm going to make that recommendation and for wherever that goes.
So what's the vote?
All right, thank you. Do I have to read the bottom thing?
No, we're
Did
not
we
finished.
have-
I'd like to make another motion.
Excuse
But
me.
I'd like to know whether that one passed or not, or
Yeah,
what the
did we
vote.
vote?
Yes, it passed.
Okay.
Yeah, we voted, it passed.
Okay,
Passed or deny?
Did we actually vote?
yes.
We
I
did.
heard vote.
You moved, you
We just-
seconded, we
okay.
voted.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
There were 3 ayes, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
There were, it was
I
100%,
want to clarify that.
no.
Okay, I further move that the Planning Commission deny major use permit PL 2515 for the Derna Group on property located at 1135 Water Trough Road, Clear Lake Oaks, APN 628-12004, based on the information and comments presented today.
Second.
All right, it was moved in second to deny the major use permit. All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the applicant or any interested person is reminded that the zoning ordinance provides for 7 calendar days appeal period. If there is a disagreement with the Planning Commission's decision, an appeal to the Board of Supervisors may be filed. The appropriate forms and applicable fee must be submitted prior to 5 p.m. on or before the 7th calendar day following the Planning Commission's final determination. So thank you. That concludes this particular item. All right, so we will move to 7 non-timed items. There are no non-timed items. 8, department updates.
Madam Vice Chair, I have no department update today. However, you did mention possibly wanting to discuss a couple topics for future agendas.
Yes. There have been requests to talk about different areas for the board's edification, learning process. So I wonder if, well, I'll share a couple of the topics that I'm interested in being further educated on. We talked about roads, and I believe that we're going to have a presentation from that department soon.
We were actually working on scheduling it when we lost the last Public Works Department director. We currently have an interim, and so I was hoping that we could maybe wait until the board is able to appoint one, but I don't know when that'll be. So I can ask the interim director if he'd be willing to make a presentation.
That would be helpful.
Okay.
I hope he didn't get lost on the roads. Is that why we lost him? So another thing that would help me in understanding some of the recommendations is what is the criteria, or what is the how do you gauge where a finding is mitigated to acceptable levels? I don't know what is the assessment? How is that determined? So if you could help us understand how that works. The other is, which we discussed a little bit today, what is our scope or our ability to make recommendations for projects? If a project comes to us and we say, this would be good if this mitigation happened, or we'd like to recommend this be part of it. I don't know what the parameters are.
And also, I'd like to add, I absolutely concur with all of these. I don't need answers today.
No,
I think
no.
that it
Just put it
merits-
on.
We were thinking we'd have time to actually make a nice presentation for you.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be easily
Yeah, so
understood.
on the topic, so that it gives us a greater breadth of information. And then the other thing that I was wondering about is we get not a lot of letters, depending on the project. We get letters from the public with concerns or questions. What is the response to those people from the department? And that would be helpful for us to understand, we got a letter from so-and-so asking these particular things, and we address them, or they are addressed in the project or in some of the mitigations. Particularly last week, there were some questions that came in, and during the conversation, it was shared with us that in some of the requirements, those particular concerns were going to be mitigated. Well, we didn't know that at that time, and neither did the person who put it in. So it'd be helpful to know those kinds of things, what the level of response is. So.
And on that topic, I would hope that the department is responding to anybody who submits a comment, acknowledging receipt of comment. Today we received 2 comments twice. And in both cases, in the second case, they didn't seem sure whether their comments had been received.
Yeah. Well, and let me chime in on that, because it was brought to my attention, as it was mentioned in our last hearing, someone had mentioned that we should do a site visit. And I did receive an email that was that went to my direct personal email asking if I had received the email. And I checked my Planning Commission email several times, and it was not there. Yet this individual, it was clear to me when it was resent to me that it was sent to all of our Planning Commission emails, but I never received it in the Planning Commission email. So then this person had to send to my personal email, which of course we're trying to avoid. So, and of course, then by that time, I didn't have time to arrange a site visit that we had been very graciously invited to do. So anyway, so the timing of that and the non-receipt of the email is a concern, as and that was the second email like that I'd received from two different individuals asking if I had received, because I do normally, as you stated, I normally respond to a person and say received. When somebody does send me an email, I'll let them know that I received it. I may not respond to the content, but I do respond and say I received your email. So
So I see a few different I'm sorry, were there more?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just curious why we're no longer reviewing minutes of prior meetings at the beginnings of meetings. And on that topic, I would just like to reiterate that as a former journalist, it is very helpful to the public to actually have minutes produced. So it's not just what happened, what went down, but actual minutes, because most journalists don't have time to sit and watch long, exciting meetings.
We do action minutes that are similar to the board minutes, and we're required to present them to you for consideration and approval. So if you haven't gotten them yet, then they're on their way. We haven't just stopped bringing you minutes for approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll add that back to our agenda cadence here.
Yes.
Okay.
I think I'm giving Pamela a little time to get up to speed. Since we pretty much just drop-kicked her into this job, her learning curve has been very steep. But I have full confidence in her abilities to bring you the minutes in the future.
And just a wonderment on site visits. Oftentimes when we receive our material the Friday before the Thursday meeting, it doesn't allow for much time to arrange for a site visit. I mean, it only gives us, what, 3 days left, or 3 days option. Is it possible to have our materials sooner so that we can do that? Or is there ways that we can facilitate? The site visits that I've gone on have been very helpful in getting a more three-dimensional understanding of the project. You know, we have information, we have pictures, but there's nothing like walking the property to understand, you know, there's a pond, there's a wetland, there are trees, you know, you just have a much better understanding.
When I was working on my projects, I appreciated doing a site visit early because it helped inform me with the CEQA analysis. And so I wouldn't have like a staff report or anything ready, but I did have the project application packet, and we'd be happy to send that to you. So that you can do a site visit when it is convenient for you and not feel like you have to rush after we posted an agenda.
Public notice is given 2 weeks in advance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as soon as we do have a public hearing notice, and we could send you
If we could just be
the items at that
CC'd
time.
on the public notice.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
Commissioners-
that would be helpful. That would
Also-
be helpful. Give us time to do that. Because I'm repeating myself, it's been most helpful to have those site visits for me.
Also, in your bylaws, you do have an option for a Monday site visit to be planned. You can ask staff to do that for all of you. I will remind you, however, that those site visits for all of you would be a meeting. So
That's true.
yeah, and sometimes applicants are not willing to participate in an all planning commission meeting on their site. But it might also be an option as well if ever there was a circumstance where
And
you
I'll,
wanted to.
well, I'll throw out there that I'm okay with an applicant not being present. So I just want to go out and see the site. I don't necessarily want to have conversation. I just want to go out and see the site. I want to have my conversation here. So,
So if we could be given that information in the 2-week notice period, then we can work with staff here to arrange for site visit, maybe only 2 of us at a time. And I think the point of, we don't need the applicant there. They don't need to, no tea and cookies. We just need to walk the site.
I think the concern with the meeting is that the public would be allowed to go.
Right. Oh, of course.
Not that the applicant needed to be there.
We just don't want to show up. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we're required to put the public notices in the newspaper 10 days prior to the actual hearing, but we actually, Pam sends that notice to the newspaper staff a whole 5 days even before that. So it ends up being about 15 days or so. And maybe if that's okay with everyone, we can just add all of the commissioners to that notice when Pam sends it to the newspaper. So then you effectively have 15 or so days prior to the hearing date.
Right. If that could happen, that would be excellent, excellent. The one last thing that was on my list, don't you guys have lists?
you didn't tell us we were talked before.
I know. Was one of the things, and this is prior conversations, is that the cannabis projects have a yearly review process, and that I think that we talked about that some of them would come to us, maybe not all of them, but we'd like to see how that could be also addressed. Not that we want longer meetings or more meetings, but we feel like that it's important for us to do our due diligence of oversight on projects that we have approved if there are issues or concerns.
Okay. Let me summarize to make sure I've got it right.
Okay, I'm done with my list for today.
I see four separate requests here because some of them can be combined.
Okay.
First one is a roads presentation.
Yep.
And that will include how does Public Works and the board decide road planning for priorities, that sort of thing. Second is discretionary permit process. We'll just talk to you about how the staff works through the permitting process, including CEQA analysis, so determining mitigations and level of significance, and handling public input that we're receiving during that process. The next one is Planning Commission guidelines for decision-making, certain restrictions as they exist by law and areas of discretion. And then lastly, a discussion on cannabis review, which may actually come up anyway when with this Article 27 amendment that I'm working on right now. So that might be a natural time to just have that discussion.
So
what am I missing?
No, I just want to make sure in your list that you review with us what sort of scope we have of making recommendations.
That's kind of what I threw into discretion.
Okay.
Yeah, that's your area of wiggle room. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Pleasure.
What's the timeline on the cannabis review?
Your December meeting, it should come up. Yeah. I'm just finalizing. I finished the table, so I've got it through, and then I need to do a double check for anything that I missed that are on the list of topics that cleared the board. And then draft the ordinance, get that to county council, and then it'll come to you by your December 11th meeting.
Oh, I do have a question on that particular thing. Was it last spring that we met to put together a chart on the
hydrology?
Yes.
That was a while ago, and that's going to be more of an internal policy than rather clearly written in the ordinance. The requirement for the hydrology report is in the ordinance.
But this was a way of taking that data and making it standard and
easier to understand.
For.
Yeah.
Gallons.
Right.
Gallons per minute.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to repeat, I think that hydrology reports would be much more credible if they were conducted by a government entity rather than by an applicant. I don't know if that's possible, but I think that'd be cool.
If the board wants to give us a lot more money for an on-staff hydrogeologist, currently that idea is not moving forward. But making them easier to understand will make it easier for the public to sort of grasp the report in addition to staff. Using standardized units was one of the messages that carried through. Also being more clear in answering the 3 questions that we really care about, which are how much water are you going to use, how much water is available, what do we anticipate the impacts for surrounding properties.
And does that also include any concerns of overdraft for a particular area?
That's within the, how's that going to impact
The
Okay,
surrounding
all right.
area?
surrounding
Yes.
area.
Cumulative, okay, thank you.
Cumulative impacts.
And to that point, I'd just like to state that, I mean, this is an agricultural county, and the reason we are successful in our agriculture is because of the availability of water. I know this is obvious to some of us, but I think it merits repeating.
Indeed. Though it's important to note that so far the only water regulations we have are specific to cannabis. We do not regulate conventional agriculture at this time.
I'm not sure what that statement is.
Yeah, we the
Well,
county
the
may
county
not, but
does
the
not.
state certainly.
Oh, I'm not saying y'all don't
wants
have
to know
regulations.
every
Yeah.
drop of
Exactly.
water.
I'm just saying that as far as the county zoning code goes, it's specific to cannabis.
Okay.
Though we also do require hydrology reports for any conditional use permit that is not using a municipal water source.
Right. Yeah, because water throughout the state, although you spell it the same, is not viewed the same.
I would never imply or state that ag is not heavily regulated.
Yeah.
All types of ag.
Yeah. And the water reports are due in January.
Oh, good.
Yes. So for the December 11th meeting, currently projects that I know that are on our schedule that we move forward was the Rancho Lake project and also the cannabis ordinance, as you just stated, that would be coming.
We do have the draft calendar this time. We're ready. Pam, is there anything other? Can you tell us what's written in pencil so far for that meeting? And I mean in pencil, in that nothing is confirmed until the public hearing notice gets published. Then it's in stone.
Right.
Yes, we can, she doesn't, I don't know if her microphone is set up, but
Oh, okay.
next time. But what we do have that has already been noticed is, first is the Rancho Lake use permit, then the cannabis ordinance that Director Turner just mentioned, then the housing element zoning code updates. There's going to be another series we're bringing forward.
Okay.
And then lastly, I'm about to notice it, but it's the Cobb Community Park General Plan Conformity and Initial Study. So that is a county proposed project at the corner of 175 and Gulf Road in Cobb.
Oh, okay.
And it just struck me that maybe what's upcoming, what's in the next episode, is a good thing to talk about in a department update. So maybe we'll just start adding that so you kind of know what's coming down the chute.
Oh, actually, that'd be very helpful. Yeah, excellent. All right, anything else, ladies, for the good of the cause? We have public comment?
We don't have a public comment.
We don't.
It's not part of our.
Well, we did at the beginning of the meeting, but
That's not part of our agenda right now.
Thank you.
Okey-doke. And that concludes my department update. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we've come to the end of our agenda, so I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I motion to adjourn. Do we do that?
Don't we formally?
I think you just say adjourn.
Oh, we just say, okay. Adjourned. I thought we formally adjourned.
But I was ready to make.
I know, thank you very much. All the meetings I've ever run before.